You're all fired up about your brand new business venture. You think this is going to change your family's life forever, and you can't wait to get started. And then your spouse comes home and rains all over your parade. Today, I'm going to introduce you to my husband, and together we'll try to help you understand what your spouse may be feeling. Plus, at the end of this video, I'll tell you how to get a free copy of my best-selling book on how to be a free mama and live the freelance life. I'm Lauren Golden here with a new episode of Free Mama TV, showing moms like you how to start and run a successful freelancing business from home. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new episode of Free Mama TV right here each and every Tuesday. Maybe you jumped right into the idea of starting your own business and were completely fired up about the whole thing from day one. But when you sat down to talk to your significant other about this amazing new opportunity, you didn't quite get the reaction you were hoping for. Or maybe you approached the whole idea with a little more restraint. You've been putting in the time and working hard, which means you might have less time for Netflix binges, cooking 7-course meals, or lazy weekend mornings. Whatever it is, it feels like your spouse is not on board and maybe even downright unsupportive. Well, today I've invited my very own husband, Justin Golden, to join us here and talk about unsupportive spouses. Welcome to Free Mama TV, Justin.
Not really sure I like that introduction.
Yeah, well, I can see why you might say that. Let me rephrase. I'd like to introduce you to my incredibly supportive husband, Justin.
That's fair.
But if we're honest about it, I think we've both had periods in our marriage where the other was taking a risk, and both of us at times may not have been our most supportive selves.
That's fair.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And hey, Mama, I'd like to hear from you in the comments too. Have you always been supportive of your spouse's dreams? So, Justin, you were actually the first one in our family to go out on your own. Did you feel like I was always supportive?
Yes and no at the same time. I think when we were younger and I decided to venture out and flex my entrepreneurial muscles, or at least attempt to, you had legitimate questions on my capabilities because I was leaving one industry and trying to enter a completely different industry. I was leaving finance and going into something automotive. And so I remember you being reluctant, would be a nice word, on whether or not I had the skill set. I'm being very selective with my words. The truth is I felt supported in the long run, but there were definitely conversations and days where I thought, yeah, she's not going to do this. This is just a bad decision. I should give up.
Well, I think from my perspective, I felt a lot of the financial pressure during those years.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it wasn't a matter of, hey, this might be fun to do. It was, can you pay the mortgage? Can we buy groceries? Make a car payment at the time? There was other things that were on both of our minds. And of course, when you are the entrepreneur or thinking about being the entrepreneur, in your mind, you've only thought about the rosy sometimes. It's really easy to get caught up in the dream and the potential outcome. And your spouse is coming from the exact opposite point of, well, what about the other side? What does failure look like? And it's something you really never want to think about because you're thinking about doing something that maybe you're really passionate about or something that brings you a lot of happiness. So it's difficult sometimes, in particular when a spouse is the one to bring up the other side of it.
Okay, and let's talk about that role reversal. When we moved to Houston, you had this new job, and I was getting ready to start a whole new business, and it forced some changes in our routines and in our house.
Yeah, so it was literally a role reversal where Lauren was the entrepreneur and I was the one with the stable income. And surprisingly, I think even after me being the entrepreneur, I still had some of the same feelings that she had when I came to her and proposed me leaving my job. So even though I had been in that role as an entrepreneur and a business owner, suddenly Lauren came to me with some ideas and plans, and I started feeling, hesitant on those plans, I guess.
Yeah. So what did it feel like for you when I made the decision to invest a lot of money that we didn't have in a business coach?
I was scared and mad, quite frankly, because I didn't understand exactly where Lauren was coming from. I understood what she wanted because we had talked a lot about where her business was going and the things that she wanted to accomplish, but I didn't see the value in it. And I hadn't really thought about it, quite frankly. I felt like it was something I either had to, buy into or be against. And instead, I think after Lauren talked to me about where she was and what she actually was trying to do and what she wanted, it was easier for me to get behind. But at first, it was extremely difficult. I didn't get it, and I wasn't supportive because it was a lot of money, and it's hard as a spouse to swallow that chunk of money being spent on something that's not seemingly tangible.
So what do you think the turning point was for you?
I think when I saw you really, you were already working hard, but I think when I saw your business start to, when you took it serious as a business and it wasn't like it was something you were doing, like it was this legitimate thing and you had an accountability partner that wasn't your spouse there to criticize and question and wonder what you were doing, that I started to see the value in having someone on the outside mentor you.
Yeah. And if I can paraphrase, I think, from my perspective, watching you, the bottom line is it's when you started seeing results from what I was doing,
Sure.
right? So some of that is financial or community or just, network growth and things like that. But I think one of the things that we forget is when we're really excited about something, it's a very internal thing. It's a very emotional thing. And when you have expectations placed on your spouse to feel those same things you feel, it's kind of unrealistic. You almost have to put like your money where your mouth is. And it's when you show up and you do the work and you start to get the results that your spouse can start to understand the bigger picture of maybe what you were feeling all along. Let's go a little more personal behind the scenes of the Golden household. So how do you feel about the way we divide chores and responsibilities in the Golden family?
I think we've managed to divide chores and responsibilities up. I don't know. The word that comes to mind is sort of organic, meaning nothing's forced. It's sort of, okay, you're a morning person. You're not a morning person. You'll handle breakfast. Okay, you are at home in the afternoon, so you'll be responsible for getting kids and getting them bags unpacked and cleaning out lunch pails and stuff. So it took a long time to get there, I think, because I think at first we probably handled it like take a sheet of paper and divide it down the middle and say, okay, look over here. Looks like I've done this and this and this, and you've only done that.
Tallying.
Yeah.
Keeping score.
Yeah. And so it took us a while to get to this point now, and it's still not perfect by any means.
And it's always evolving as our kids get older and our schedules change.
Yeah, as the kids add new activities and we try to do and explore new things that are important to us, then it always kind of changes those responsibilities. So I think it's important, just for me at least, to be cognitive of what's going around. Like, hey, I happened to notice that my laundry was folded and it didn't do it magically.
Well, and something else that we did recently was we took the love languages assessment together. So we started to learn kind of what's important to the other person and maybe what's not important to the other person. Because I think something we uncovered when we did that together was there were things that each of us were doing for the other person, but it maybe wasn't being received the way we thought it was because it wasn't weighted as significantly in terms of how they receive love.
Learning about your spouse sounds kind of silly because you might be thinking, well, I've been married, for
10 years.
10 plus years. How could you not know? Well, you'd be surprised at what you learn and it's all about perception. Really, you see things differently and handle things differently. And until you understand how the other one sees things, it can be very difficult to communicate.
So back over to the professional side, do you feel like between our different jobs and our 3 kids that we manage our time well?
Like I'm being set up. I don't think that's a fair question given who you are. We do. And again, it's probably a byproduct of years of trial and error. It's not something that we picked up right away when we were married. And it's something that I think we still have to work on. But Lauren, as you may know, is very big on time management and scheduling and planning in general. I'm not. I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, let's just fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens. And I think, I'm speaking for Lauren, she can answer, but I think she's probably learned how to maybe call an audible every now and again. And I've probably learned the importance of planning, especially with kids, and to have some structure around your day.
I think you definitely bring the fun to the family. That's fair to say.
But if we were planning 24/7 or the opposite, right, there would be
no fun and no productivity. Yeah, for sure. So what would you say to someone who is watching this right now, potential free mama, and they're struggling with an unsupportive spouse?
Yeah. So again, this is coming from experience. I think that when you have determined that you want to do something, it probably means you've thought about it, right? Maybe you thought about it for a few hours, few days, weeks, even months, sometimes years. Give your significant other the benefit of the doubt that he or she has not, right? You're bringing something potentially very new to the table, and you've got this well thought out argument and these well thought out plans of what it looks like, how it can be accomplished, what it might do for you and the family. And they're coming from it like I'm sorry, what'd you say? Right there, it's completely foreign to them. And I think that when you approach it, when you remember that, try to give them some space to also digest that information. You're not looking for them to come out of the conversation immediately saying, this is awesome, do it. If they do, that's great, of course. But if they don't, it's not, your goal shouldn't be to come out of it with a hard answer. You should be trying to plant the seeds of where you're coming from and what it could do for you, and seeing their reaction and then giving them time to digest that. And then allowing them to ask the hard questions, right? I think that's important, to let your spouse kind of tell you how he or she feels and ask questions and kind of poke around and see where it's coming from, and giving them time to digest the idea. And then if it really is something that you believe in, then be persistent, right? I think it's when you bring up something, if you give up easily, then your spouse takes that as something that you're not taking very serious.
I agree with that completely. And one thing I know you've said to me often throughout the years is, it's not that you ever didn't believe in me. You maybe just didn't understand or believe in the thing that I was presenting to you. So I think when you don't get the reaction you hope for from your significant other, I think it's important that you realize it doesn't mean they don't love and support you. It doesn't mean they don't think you're awesome. It means that they haven't caught up to all that emotional and mental work you've been doing on this thing, like Justin was saying.
I think it's important to give your significant other the opportunity to digest the information. If it is something, again, that you're really passionate about, then be persistent and propose it as something valuable to you, and explain the value. Don't just say it's valuable, just say it's something you want. Explain why and explain how you think it'll help. And then give it time, because that's what it took for Lauren and I. When I saw Lauren buckle down and start working literally 7 days a week, putting the kids to bed and not watching TV with me and coming into the office to work, that's when I knew that she was really serious about this. And I think I had completely given up on trying to even justify the expense of a coach. It just made sense at that point to me.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is that know that those seasons of hard work and hustle have to be temporary as well. I think if we still lived, years later where I did that every night, that then it would still have consequences in our relationship, because when you're doing something new and you're trying to build a business, it requires that level of commitment. But you also have to remember that your main commitment needs to be to your partner. And sometimes I can see somebody being unsupportive if they feel like it's going to take away from your relationship as well.
Yeah, there's a balance to every relationship. Every relationship is different, so it's hard to give advice on. But I would say, be cognitive of that relationship and put your heart and soul into your passion, but also remember that you wouldn't be able to, perhaps, if you didn't have the support of that spouse.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Henny, for coming on the show today. We appreciate you. So, Mama, I hope this helps you understand your spouse a little bit more and gives you some ideas for smoothing out the way you build your business and nurture your relationship. And if you want to take a closer look at the Free Mama Life, you can actually get a totally free copy of my #1 international best-selling book. Yep, I'll give you the book for free if you help out with the shipping and handling. You'll find a link below this video where you can order your copy. Also, if you want to join a community of mamas just like you, I have a Facebook group where thousands of mamas come together for support and action-taking tips and motivation. As always, if you liked this video, please let me know by liking it below, subscribe, and share it with your fellow mamas. And comment below with #IamAFreeMama if this video helped you figure out how to talk to your spouse about your business. Justin's gonna be weird. Oh, okay. Okay, seriously. Okay. Come here, baby. Okay. Scooch. Justin, you can't do that. Stop. Go away. Seriously, don't make me do this like 12 times. Make a face that's amusing.
Am I the unsupportive spouse in this?
I have to actually answer these questions.
What'd you say?
I said, she makes me look good all the time. There, see, you look good. Nice beard. You see where we're going?
No.
We'll
The
take it out
meaning
of
of
6.
life.
Are you
Why don't you
finished?
just leave it out like a dirty word?
Well, we could do that too. Okay,
Say it
do
again,
over.
say it.
Yes, I'm going to. And stop tapping. You're making me nervous. Stop. We have a child interference. We're going to have to go back in time. Oh,
You want me to- I'll do that though. I should do that.
no.
It's a good idea. We're just taking
Okay, I think you're done. You're dismissed. Thank you so much. Good job.
it.
Bye.
You can have this back in the room by 2:30.